Hi, everyone. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Welcome to the last part of pre-scene analysis for September 2024 of SBL. I really have liked this case study, right? Because it's the usage of our daily lives, right? Just like it one attempt I saw, it was the airline industry, and the next attempt it was cloud computing. After that, it was football industry, then pet paternity services, and then we have the transport network company. So it's really great. So far, in this case, we have done introduction, then TNC's industry information, overview, BLAN market, TNC services, TNC customers, drivers. So we have deep dived into the industry, right? And we have got enough idea that what exactly to be done. Huh? We have got enough idea that what exactly to be done in this industry. And since we are using this regularly, in fact, I've just left a Kareem drive at my hotel. So we are using this regularly so that we have exact idea what do we have, right? Now, there are key risks, then Biago's website extracts and KPIs. And so far, what we have got in a requirement phase, it's competitor analysis or the performance evaluation that's regularly, and that's surely going to be tested because they have given you the data of KPI. Like this industry have several KPIs. They have told you, right? Like industry KPIs on page 7. You must have seen that. Huh? You must have seen that industry KPIs. Number of active customers, then number of active drivers, rides completed, revenue, net promoter scores. So we have got this, right? We have got this, and we have enough idea of this industry. And so far, since they have given you the KPI, these are the performance evaluators, so they are surely going to be assessing your performance as well, right? They're surely going to be assessing your performance as well. So KPIs, then we dived into the overview. One thing about regulation, that there's no strict regulation on this industry. There's not that much strictness, or there's not that much severeness in this industry, right? Now, Biago overview, there's background, there's Biago growth, there's ownership we have gone through. Now we have venture capitals here, right? And venture capitals carry a most influence here, right? Venture capital carries a most influence here, right? So therefore, it's kind of, I'll say, a targeted particularly thing here. Then we have ride hailing and ride sharing. We started because of this, right? We started because of this ride sharing, but people are preferring ride hailing. So we know that micro mobility is another service they have been given, and the business services also, right? In fact, I remember one particular company when I was working in Pakistan. I remember, yeah, it was its name was Mystic. I don't know, have you gone through it or not? So in my company where I was working, it had a contract with the company that whenever your employee will do late sitting, wherever your employee will do late sitting, and now company have to get them transported to home, right? It's company's cost. So company have hired the Mystic, and what Mystic does, it takes the employee from the company and drives it to the home. And similarly, if there's a meeting, like if they have to go to the meeting, so they'll take it from the home and drive at the meeting's place. Just like if we went for an holiday, or company's outreach, so company give us the transport service as well from home to airport, right? So the thing is, uh, that this Mystic service, it's a business service, right? This Mystic service, it's basically a business service that have aligned with so many companies. And whenever there's a late sitting, the employees will be, whenever there's a late sitting, their employees will be delivered or transported at their home, and most probably the female ones, because the males are usually or can commute through their sources, but the females require the transport and requires the security as well. So what I believe is that Mystic charges per kilometer, and it was around I'll say that 90 or 100 kilometer. Now that's significant cost, right? But it gives you the luxury. Every time a sedan car would come, every time a driver would come, every time a time duration, it will allow you, the driver would wait for you, it will take your bag and all that. So what mostly companies do, they hire Mystic for the employees, and it's termed as business services. Now see, now talk about Biago. Like you can give a recommendation here, that if Biago can align or get aligned with companies, so it can give you a significant revenue. Why? Because it's a business service, and usually if you're aligning with the companies, if you're getting aligned with the companies, these services are expensive. So that means if you take your particular picture of revenue, so business services are 5%. So this is area to expand, right? This is area for expansion. It's mandatory for the expansion, right? It's mandatory for the expansion. Did you got my point? Now, sir, what we are left with in this case? So we are left with risk register, website extracts, and some KPIs, and that's it. So let's have an idea, guys. Whenever there's a risk register, so there's high chance that there can be a requirement on risk, there can be a requirement on ethics, and then believe me, these are favorite topic of examiner, favorite topics of examiner. In fact, ethics is tested in every professional paper, right? So it's a favorite topics of examiner. Ethics are tested in every paper, right? In every professional paper, I'll say ethics are tested, right? And risk, since they have given you the risk register, so they can be risk uh, commenting, and apart from that you can comment on the missing risks as well, and apart from that you can comment on the missing risks as well, right? There can be the missing risk, right? There surely be a missing risk, like they must have not catered particularly a risk that you can talk about, right? Like what I see here, a risk of data confidentiality, since you have a confidential data, right? So a data confidentiality can be tested here, right? A data confidentiality can be tested here, right? So these are the things that you guys can expect from the risk-based questions. In fact, I'll add here on the requirement pages, risk register. So risk analysis, missing risk, or recommendations of that risk, huh? Or recommendations of that risk. It could be tested, right? Recommendations of that risk, it could be tested, right? Yeah. So let's see this, huh? Let's read what is in risk. Let's talk about that. So risk category, reputation, brand, and culture. Yes, some of the students can say that's a reputation involves the data confidentiality issue. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It involves that. It's totally fine, right? Building a strong reputation and brand as a safe and affordable service is critical to our ability to attract and retain qualified drivers and customers. Yes, if you're a very risky entity, like you are less reputed, or you are very have a bad reputation regarding the payments, regarding the customer satisfaction, so neither the customer would be attracted and neither the driver would be attracted, right? Neither the customer would be attracted, neither the driver would be attracted, okay? right? Now, negative perception of Biago, which may harm our reputation and brand, include illegal, negligent, reckless behavior of drivers. So, for that, there can be the drivers training, right? So that this behavior is ignored. Drivers training at induction, right? Drivers training at induction. For that, this would be the one. Concerns of customers about drivers, about safety. Similarly, disruptions of or defects in our platforms such as privacy, data security. So yeah, data security is here, right? So data security is here, breaches or outrages which impact reliability of services, right? Which impact reliability of services. Failure to operate consistently with our values and missions, failure to maintain a culture which employs wishes. Yeah, a culture issue. There shouldn't be the cultural conflicts, right? There shouldn't be the cultural conflicts, right? So these are the things that can be tested, right? These are the things that can be asked upon. Huh? So building a strong reputation and services, affordable services, and then qualified drivers and customers needs to be attracted. There shouldn't be any reckless behavior by drivers or reckless driving. And similarly, yeah, one of the risks that's long routes, right? Long routes by drivers, although the prices are fixed. But if an entity uh, give you the variable pricing, so there's a risk that drivers might take the long routes. Yeah, one of the students highlighted that, right? The drivers might take the long route. Huh? Drivers might take the long route here. Now, technology infrastructure. Now, technology infrastructure. This is one of the risks, that our tech should be user friendly, guys. Our app should be user friendly, because sometimes I don't use that particular app because that's not user friendly. So your app should be user friendly. Huh? So your app should be user friendly. Our businesses involves the collection, storage, and processing of customers and drivers' personal data, right? We also maintain confidential and sensitive information relating to our business. Therefore, our systems are vulnerable to security incidents and breaches, right? So what we have to do, we have to maintain a confidential and sensitive information, and our systems should be vulnerable to security incidents. We cannot expect a security incident or breaches, because it's their credit cards, guys. If any security breach happen, you're going to give out some personal information, and that's data breach, right? You're going to get out personal information, and after that personal information, what is going to be done? After that personal information, a credit card details or debit card details gonna be go out. So if you have compromised on any of these things, that's gonna impact you a lot. If you have compromised on any of these things, that's gonna impact you a lot, right? So as the techniques used to obtain unauthorized access of sabotage systems change frequently, we may be unable to anticipate such attacks, right? And we also rely on a third-party cloud service. I raised this point, right? I raised this point that our storage is with the third party. So if our storage is with the third party, if they went out of business, we are totally gone. We are totally out of the business, right? Cloud service provider to ensure that it maintains sufficient investment in systems, huh? That it maintains sufficient investment in systems. So a potential or high investment in technological infrastructure is required, right? In technological infrastructure is required. Huh? So there can be a question, right? There can be a question of feasibility analysis of technology. Huh? Yeah, one of the question can come, which I'll be mentioning here, and what's that? It's feasibility of technological advancement. Feasibility of technological advancement, right? Feasibility. So it can be coming, right? And there's obviously some general questions that they can ask. There's already also there can be some general questions that they can ask. Also, there can be some general questions that they can ask, and they can use that like about stakeholders, about shareholders. But as far as we have read the pre-scene, we believe that these are the ones that can be usually they can ask about that, right? And in fact, you can contribute. You have my number, and you can tell me about or ask about the survey that this thing can come or not. So yeah, we can have a discussion on it. Competition, it's always a risk, right? Competition in this industry, I believe it's always a risk, because a very low cost to join up, because you don't have to get your cars, you don't have to do things, you just have a good app, and that's it. Your drivers, if there are certain drivers that got onboarded with you, that's totally it. Now the TNC market is highly competitive and characterized by rapid changes in technology, huh? So it's highly competitive and characterized, and we expect competition to continue both from current competitors and new entrants in the market. So we expect the competition here, right? We expect the competition that they can continue in the market. And if you're unable to anticipate or successfully react to these competitive challenges, our competitive position could weaken, right? And similarly, we need to get the competitive advantage, right? And how that competitive advantage can get how that competitive advantage we can get, by having a good user-friendly app, by having some promo offers. Yeah. One of the students told me about the promo code that they use. Yeah, so you could use the promotions, or you can give the promotions, right? You can attract drivers by attracting. You can attract drivers, probably how you can attract drivers by giving them good bonuses. So these are all the factors, that you can particularly gain, right? These are all the factors that you can particularly get. And what you have to do to get the competitive advantage, so you should be having the good cars, right? In fact, I recently traveled, so I had an option via Kareem, that whether I want to go on economy car, right? Whether I need to go on a luxury car, which includes Audi, Mercedes, and whether I want to go on particularly on environmental friendly car, right? On environmental friendly car, and that was Tesla. So the thing is that you have to give these things. You have to give these things, so that what can happen if you have given these things, so that what can happen, you will get the competitive advantage, so that what it can happen, you can get the competitive advantage, right? To get your competitive position. If you're missing those, so it can get the competitive position weakened, and your competitor can take things from you. And remember, in this case, your competitor is bigger than you. They operate internationally, where you are just in this country, right? We also compete with, yeah. And yeah, who are our competitors? Yeah, who are our competitors? Public transport is our competitor. You should be better than that. The taxi cab companies, the car rental businesses, the micro mobility companies. So you are surrounded with the competition, right? You are surrounded with the competition here, right? You are surrounded with the competition. Yeah. So public transport, taxi cab companies, car rental businesses, micro mobility companies. So they all are your competition, right? They all are your competition. So some of which may have greater resources, right? Which you might don't have. Huh? Like some of can be supported. Like if it's a public transport, so they have a benefit that they are supported by government, right? They're supported by government, and you don't have that benefit, although the government prefers the transportation here, but obviously they should be directly supporting this, right? Then we have licensing and industry regulations. So we depend on the local authority of each city, in which we operate, to grant us our drivers the operating licenses to permit our operations. So if our drivers do not comply with the license arrangements, or other transport providers put pressure on local authorities to prevent us from receiving these licenses to operate. Now, this is a big issue here. Now, this is a big issue here, that we are dependable on the authority in each city. So we are not on a country, we are dependable on the authority of each city. Like, there are different cities, there are different authorities to give the licenses, and what they do, they grant us and our drivers the operating licenses to permit for the operations. So if we or our drivers do not comply with the arrangements, or other transport providers, right? If we are not complying with the arrangements here, if we are not complying with the arrangements here, so transport providers put pressure on local authorities to prevent us from receiving these licenses. So it restricts our business. Now, that means our competitors, if they know about the weakness of our drivers, like they are not good drivers, or they haven't got the licenses, so competitors put pressure on local authorities, and some of the local authorities, are being pushed hard by some of the local authorities are being pushed hard by the competitors, for which they prevent us from getting the licenses. And see, if we are not having the license, that means we are not having the drivers, that means that we cannot accommodate customer, and ultimately we fell short of revenue here. Ultimately, we are losing revenue here, right? Ultimately, we are losing revenue here, right? Similarly, increasing regulations in the industry related to its impact on the environment and increased safety requirements, right? For both customers and drivers, not expected. So that means there's currently no regulation in the industry. If you remember, see, there are currently no overall standards to be and should adhere in terms of requirements, right? So there are certain not standards, right? Technology and data security, but there is a trend of increasing regulation. See, increasing regulation in this industry, that to impact on environment, because you are using the transport, so you are highly impacting the environment, and increased safety requirements are there, right? For both customers and drivers is expected. For both customers and drivers is expected, and will continue to increase our cost. So that means through this cost can be higher in future. Through this cost can be higher in future. Therefore, your particularly cost, if it's higher than future, therefore it should be higher revenue in future as well, right? If your cost is higher, then that means you have to go for some alternatives. That means you have to go for some alternatives that can make revenue higher. Just like I gave you the example of getting the Mystic on board, right? Example here, getting the Mystic on board, or getting aligned with the companies, hotels, airlines to give them a preferred pick and drop. Hotels, airlines to give them a preferred pick and drop, so that this can be done, right? I hope this analysis of the risk register, you must have gotten good idea. I hope that this analysis of the risk register, you must have got the good idea that what I am talking about and what this puts in impact right here. Now, website extracts mission, vision, values to provide communities with, this is your mission, to be affordable, accessible, and sustainable, right? So you need to be environmental friendly, right? You need to be accessible everywhere, probably in every city, and affordable. That means at economic rate. Right? So a world where transport and technology work seamlessly to bring together, it's our vision, and communities together. So our ethical code conduct ensures that we maintain our focus on operating to the highest ethical and professional standards. Our focus is also on the safety of our customers, drivers, and communities to work with them. So guys, so how this can help us in predicting the requirements. So mission, vision, values, they don't give you the requirement, or they don't tell you the requirement. What you have to do, you have to link it in your answer. You have to link it in your answer to make sure, or if company is violating, right? You have to link it in your answer if company is violating in this. So what you will do, you will link it with your answer, right? You will link it with your answer. Like if company is falling short of its mission, right? They are not the sustainable transport. Their CO2 emissions are high. So these particular things are probably for linking with the scenario. They'll give you particularly data that these are being missed. So if these things are missed, what you'll do, you'll be linking it with scenario that, as mentioned in the mission statement, as mentioned in the value statement, company is going against its published values, right? Company is going against its published values, right? I hope you get that. So every examiner that gives you the mission, vision, values, they are not giving you the requirements to predict here. They're giving you that our requirement might be violating these things. So you have to link it here, right? You have to link it here that this can be missed. Now, another thing that we are safety of our customers and drivers. To protect them, we have some controls like annual background check of every driver. Criminal monitoring means drivers disqualifying, criminal convictions removed from the platform. Yeah, so if drivers has been involved in any criminal activity, yeah, this is a good control, right? So if drivers have been involved any criminal activity, so they're removed. So it's a good control. So they're removed. It's a good control. Okay. I hope you got my point here. I hope you got my point here. Then, driver must complete a safety program annually, which includes how to create a comfortable ride, appropriate conversation topics, and responsible personal boundaries. Yeah, this is one of the things. What's the appropriate conversion topic, guys? The drivers sometimes misbehave by asking some personal things. Just like if they have asked earnings from a guy who's been using or who's been traveling with them. So this is a problem here, right? Similarly, age. So these are some boundaries. So drivers training is being done regularly. You can say here that drivers training is being done regularly. So they can particularly been said here, right? Similarly, if a customer driver feels uncomfortable or emergency assistance at any point, they can instantly connect with our security team. And that's really good control, right? That's really good control that we have a security team as well. We have a security team as well, right? Then customers have access to a friends and family notification system. Yeah. In fact, I remember when my mother or my wife used to be traveling through these apps. So what I asked to them is to share the location or the number of the drivers with the family group so that we can track you if you're using that, right? So the thing is that if the company itself is tracking the car, or they have given you the family notification system, so this is a really good control. Huh? This is a really good control. So these all measures suggest that we are very good with the safety commitment. Like if you have seen on the car, if they have written on back that how am I driving, so any driver doing the rash driving, they could easily be in they could be an easily be in complaint easily. So this is also a control, right? So most of our drivers' vehicles have been equipped with cameras. Yeah, the camera implementation. I guess this is particularly a transport network system of birth because I've recently observed these things here, right? Similarly, data privacy and storage and usage of customers' data is top priority. Huh? All customers' contact details, right, and payment information are considered or classified data, and we fully comply with legislation terms. So we have the data privacy, storage, and usage. Although in the storage we are dependable, but we have some good source. We have a service provider, right? At the end, drivers and customers must rate their rides. So any customer driver who submits rating below 80% is prompted provide more details. Yeah. So if someone is not happy with the ride, like if they have commented on the 70% or 50% or something, or 4 stars or 3 stars, 2 stars, rather than giving the 5 stars. So they are contacted, right? They are contacted, and a feedback have been taken, right? And a feedback have been taken for a good controller, and feedback have been taken for a good controller. So guys, I'm really happy. So guys, I'm really happy to see this. I'm really happy to see this, that they are committed to the safety. I'm really happy here that they are committed to the safety, and they have some good controls implemented. And sir, how they are committed to environment, huh? And sir, how they are committed to environment, can we just check here? So yeah, they have mentioned some comments like a primary concern of the government and the communities is a harmful emission in towns and cities. Yeah, so the emissions of CO2 or any gases that disrupts environment, huh? That disrupts environment, any gases that disrupts environment. So they particularly are being taken care of. They particularly are being taken care of. So we are aware that our businesses contributed to these emissions. Therefore, we are committed to reducing our impact in several ways. How? Like we prefer micro mobility options and sharing rides options. So see, if people are sharing rides, so one car would be used rather than 4 cars. And if it's one car being used, so that means a lesser emission is being made. If there's one car being used, so that means a lesser emission is being made. Right? We continue on micro mobility. I really love this business as well, because it's on the customer that when they want to prefer for, rather than particularly on the driver. Like we have launched in-app feature for customers, right, to be able to request rides in electric or hybrid vehicles, huh, instead of fossil fuel vehicles. So we have launched an in-app feature of customers, huh? We have launched an in-app features to request rides in electrical or hybrid vehicles instead of fossil fuel. Just like I told about it, environmental, like recently, just yesterday or day before yesterday, I experienced this, right? Then we do not own the vehicles used by our drivers. We'll continue to find ways to incentivize more drivers to use environmental sustainable vehicles. Now there is an issue, right? You're asking drivers to use their car. You're asking drivers to use your car. They might have a previous car, so you have incorporated a control to use a certain model. But now again, you're trying to incentivize them. Now again, you are trying to incentivize them, and what, to use the environmental sustainable car. Like for example, you can increase the bonuses or increase the payment rates, so that drivers gets motivated, they get lease out a new car. So that means automatically you're reducing your impact on the environment by getting them the Tesla ones, right? Or by getting them a particularly lower one. And why is that? And why is that? It's simple, that you have increased their payment. So drivers gets happy, drivers gets new car, government gets happy, governments get less environmental pollution. So reading this, I make sure, or I see that there is a good commitment. Reading this, I see that there's a good commitment to safety and good commitment to environment, right? Good commitment to safety and good commitment to environment. So the revenue trend is increasing. Very good. Good. The active customers trend is increasing. Right? So it's good. The rights completed is increasing. It's good, right? The percentage of revenue per service. So percentage of revenue, I see ride hailing is so good, ride sharing is fine, but we need to increase these businesses, guys. Please, please, I will be saying please to the companies, increase these businesses as they are good with environment, they are good with controls, they are good with safety, they gives you more opportunities. So I will be suggesting this company, seeing this graph, that try to increase the smaller businesses. Please try to increase the smaller, and they must be of high margin, I believe. Right, they must be of high margin, I believe. It's my assumption, but they must be of high margin. So a net promoter score, Biego, is high or good here, right? This was the KPI of the industry, if you see. So again, guys, they have given you the industry KPIs and they have given you your KPIs. So definitely a performance evaluation is going to come. Definitely a performance evaluation is going to come. Net promoter score, right? Satisfaction and loyalty rating with higher scores indicating more satisfied and loyal customers. So if your score is higher with industry, if your score here is higher with industry, that means higher with industry, that means your customers are more satisfied. That means your customers are more satisfied, right? And drivers satisfaction rate. So I'll see. Oh, just a second here. Oh, just a second. It's 1999. I've interpreted it wrong. I'm sorry. It's 1999, and then it's 2003. So you are still high with the industry. You're still high with the industry, right? I'll be saying you are still high with the industry, but what to comment here, you are high with industry but lower than your previous year. So reasons needs to be done, huh? So reason needs to be investigated, that why we are in not net promoter score investigated. Reason needs to be investigated, that why we are behind the previous year, why we are behind the previous year, right? So here the reasons needs to be taken again. The driver's satisfaction. So more information is required, that why our drivers are not satisfied, right? Percentage of satisfied drivers, why they are not satisfied. They might be not paid well, right? They might be not treated well. So again, reasons here requires the analysis or requires the more data, which can be given in the exam, right? Which can be given in the exam. So guys, in this session, we have completely analyzed, particularly this pre-scene. We had a good idea, and these are the possible requirements that can make around 60-70% of the marks, that can make around, right? And apart from that, there can be general questions, right? There can be general questions. So sir, now we are 1 week left. So sir, now we are 1 week left with the exam. So what we should do, guys, if you are the already enrolled students with our institute, so you will be getting the 2 mocks, right? And one of the mock is I will be solving, and I'll be posting it on the learning management system of ours, right? And you can check what I have drafted. What's that mock? And that mock is not the previous paper of ACCA. It's based on this pre-scene, right? And what you have to do, you have to see that how I have drafted that. And once you have seen that how I have drafted that, you can attempt this mock and send it to me for checking. That's for the enrolled ones. And if the guys, those who aren't enrolled, they are available with these parts on YouTube channel. And if they can enroll in the crash course, they just have to text me. They will, what they'll get, they'll get some papers that I've solved of ACCA SBL. And apart from that, they'll get the mocks, their classes, and they'll get the papers, the marking facility, and they'll get the marking facility, right? So guys, if you want to get yourself enrolled, you can text me here on WhatsApp. And if you're already enrolled, you just have to wait for these dates and you'll get the mocks, right? You'll just have to wait for these dates and you'll get the mocks. It was nice interacting with you. I hope you have liked my September 2024 exam analysis, just like the way you like the previous one, right? I made it, and around 70-80% guess was exactly the question, because the question has been given by the ACCA, right? And despite the fact that I was traveling, I managed somehow to do all these things. And it's just for you guys. Kindly give your best. Give these things. These 7 days are the ones that's gonna be deciding that whether you are going to pass it, ace it. So give your best and just let me know if I can be of any help. And it was great interacting with you. Thank you so much.